Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the homestead, and I'm working with green beans today and picking green beans, and I got that row planted and got to get over here on this one. And one thing that picking green beans I can do, Josie don't like picking them, and but I don't like snapping them, having to snap the beans. And anyway, we've gotten quite a few green beans this year. This row right here is the jade green beans, and in fact I don't know that they're going to make any more. I've picked them twice, both rows. I do have a few little blooms here, but I don't know if it'll be enough to mess with. But I'm going to pick them real close here and see what happens. You don't want to let your beans get too big. And here in a minute, we're going to go in and watch Josie. But about this size right here, that's the perfect, about the size of a pencil. If you get it much bigger, and you can be smaller, but if you go bigger and they get these big beans in them, we don't like them that way. So the earlier you get them picked, the better off you are. And anyway, we're going to go in a minute. Josie's going to be canning some and show you, and she's also going to make a mess. What we call a mess is just a pod of green beans just for fresh eating, and she'll put them, she's got a little sometimes she cooks them on the stove, sometimes she does an Instant Pot thing, but she'll put them in there and put some bacon grease and salt and all the different things that we like. And but anyway, I planted I've forgotten the variety of, I think it was Contender. It's either Contender, Blue Lake, one or the other. And we didn't, the jade, I kind of planted these by mistake or accident because they sold out on me. I wanted to plant 2 more rows of green beans after I had planted that first row. And the feed store was sold out of seeds except they had jade. And I was like, well, I never heard of the jade before, and the lady that worked in there, she said, well, it's an old-time variety, and I've had some of you comment back to me that it's kind of like an heirloom type variety. Well, we have really enjoyed them. The plants don't get as big, and I think I'll plant these next year, but I stopped in there yesterday at the same store to see if they had any seeds yet for these, and they didn't. They're just still really low on their seeds, not near as many as they usually have. So what I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to pick these right now, and some more for Josie to can. And then once I get them picked, I'm going to leave them, might even water them, and let these go to seed, so that just in case I can't get seeds for next year, I'll be able to get seeds out of these. And I'm also going to look in some of our catalogs and stuff that we have. We get all kinds of seed catalogs, but a lot of the seed companies are really backlogged, and it concerns me. This year, my son said the other day, he said, Dad said, why don't you start saving seeds? Said, you do all this other stuff, why aren't y'all saving your seeds? And I was like, well, it's been so easy just to go buy the seeds. But you know, he's just a youngster, but he's I say he's a youngster, he's 21. Compared to me, he's just a youngster, and he don't really care about gardening. But I can tell you something, that makes a lot of sense. So right now I'm starting to look for seeds for next year, and considering what I'm going to do. So I think what I'll do is just let the remainder of these go to seeds. And my row of Contenders, I've done the same thing with them, and they're actually ready, I think, to be picked and shelled out again for seed for next year. And I'll keep them marked, and I usually put them in the freezer and freeze them and keep them till the next year when I buy seeds. And that's what I plan to do with these, is just put them in the freezer when they go to seed. But it'll probably be another week or so before I can pick these again. I'll probably pull the vines then, pull what's on there, and replant something else on here. But there are a few blooms. You probably can't see them, but they've got a few, so they're going to make again. And I could probably do 3 pickings. And there's a few little beans on here, not a lot, but some little tiny ones, so I'm going to leave them for next year. But all said, I really like the jade beans. The bushes didn't get as big as the other varieties that I have planted, but they really produced heavy. And I'd rather have more bean and less green anyway. So that's because you got to have some green, or if you don't, they won't do good anyway, because they got to have that photosynthesis to correctly work. But anyway, these are some pretty beans here, and Josie made up a fresh batch last night and took to our church. We have a lot of older people that go to our church, and they'd been asking for said they would love to have a fresh pot of green beans. So we Josie cooked up some, and we brought them. We have a singing once a month at our church, a gospel singing, and anybody that wants to come and sing, as long as it's gospel, can come and sing a couple of songs. And we usually get some pretty big crowds. We haven't been this year. There was probably like 15 people there last night, and we hadn't been getting as big of crowds because of this COVID crisis that we have going on. But people sure like homegrown stuff, and we've had some of the older ones say that is the best tasting green beans. And it gets me, because I was like, surely they were raised up eating this kind of stuff. But maybe it's just been a while. Maybe that's the thing why they like it so well. I say I like it real good. The other night I come in and Josie had fixed a pot of green beans and had cucumbers and onions that was in vinegar. And she has a certain way she does that, and she put them in that liquid. And then we had some fresh sliced tomatoes, and I don't remember what type of meat, but we probably wouldn't have had any kind of meat. And it was just delicious. I mean, out of this world. One night I come in, we had green beans and squash and fried okra and some type of meat. I think hamburger patties. She cooks them up sometimes, just a little old hamburger patties, kind of like hamburger steak, except I don't mind all the stuff on them, but we don't put gravy and all that, just a little piece of meat and stuff. But I'm telling you, it is really, really good. And this time of the year, I think we eat the healthiest of any time of the year, because we're eating stuff that we've grown. I never fertilize these two. These have not had any fertilizer, just the natural that's here. The only thing that I have fertilized this year on the garden, pretty much that I can think of, was the tomatoes. And I fertilized those pretty heavy. And with like Miracle Grow and Dr. Earth's, I put in them. But green beans, black-eyed peas, okra, I don't fertilize any of that, and they do just fine. And this row right here has made, we've made a lot of beans this year, and Josie's been canning them and having plenty of fresh. And so anyway, we're going to go inside the house now and see what she's got cooking in the kitchen, see if she can show you her recipe of how she cooks fresh green beans just for fresh eating, and then also maybe canning a few beans if it all works out. What you got going there, Miss Josie?
Snapping.
Snapping beans. Looky there.
A big old snapping turtle out there that you're gonna have to go take care of.
Oh, he'll probably be all right. As long as he don't bite us. I killed a snake out this morning in the hen house, and
another one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I usually do. I'll kill a couple at a time. Look at them green beans. Ain't them pretty? Can't
really
hardly wait to munch on some of them. You got anything to say to folks this morning?
Good morning. Keep on working.
Out getting the chores done.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do. It's not necessarily my favorite right now because my wrist is hurting, but you gotta, what they say, make hay while the sun shines. So
yeah, this is one of my least favorites.
They won't hold. I don't want Howie to snap beans. I'll work through it. He's not a good bean snapper.
I don't know if folks can hear you or not with the deal going on, but with the fan going, I have my little mics right here.
Yeah. Hopefully later on today, if I can get these in the canner, I'm hoping I have enough that I can make a pot of green beans. We may not have new potatoes in it, but adding the new potatoes is, just an extra step. But
I can't hardly wait to make me work harder and quicker today to get home for supper.
yeah.
See, you're cooking green beans for supper and new potatoes cooked in with them?
Yes. And I'm also going to be canning green beans, but I need to get the beans on for supper or they won't be done.
Okay.
The first thing I need to do is wash and take off any bad spots. And if my new potatoes are too big, then sometimes I'll cut them in half, sometimes I'll quarter them.
Okay.
And sometimes if they're little, like this,
You prefer the
I'll leave
little
them
ones,
whole.
don't you, that's whole?
I do, but it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to get them that way. And so you just have to do what you can. We're going to have pork chops for supper if I can get all this done.
You better
Anyway,
it
I'm going to
done.
get
You
these
made me
potatoes
hungry.
washed, and we'll come back when I'm ready to cut them up and put them in the pot with the with the green beans and the seasoning, and I'll show you what to do next.
So you can't just microwave this?
No,
No.
I mean, I don't think it would taste good. Okay, we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so we're back. What I've done is I've decided how much I want to make for the night. So you just get out whatever size of stock pot you want and you put your beans in there. I don't know how many's in there, but we'll eat on this for several days. So I just put my beans in there. I've got water in there. And then what I'm going to do is add these potatoes. Now you'll see that I've cut some of these potatoes like this, but it's because they're big. The new potatoes I got were a little bit bigger than really what you want. You're going to look at them, and if you see any spots, you're going to take the spots out, or if any of the eyes has got little like that there, I usually take those out. And then you're going to just put that one needs a little bit smaller, but you'll have some that are whole potatoes like that one. See, that has a little spot that I would take out. Some people may not take it out, but you're just going to put your potatoes in there. And
this we'll heat this up several times.
And they get better, kind of like pinto beans. They get better as you go. And it's going to really...
That's just a bean.
That's a bean.
I hope you didn't mind me picking it out, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something. Since we're going to be eating our own food, but my hands are clean, I just washed them.
And so it's really up to you. People are wanting a recipe, and I can tell you, eyeball it and decide how many potatoes to your green beans you want. Now, when you fix your green beans, sometimes we'll have a whole bowl of green beans and new potatoes, and some sliced cucumbers and stuff. But each person will just eat a bowl of these like you would a bowl of pinto beans. And so it's up to you how many potatoes that you put in there. In fact, I think I'm going to put the rest of these and make sure that...
Where'd you get these green beans, Josie?
Oh, a sweet little farmer brought them to me this morning, along with some turnips and some... what else did he bring me? Some
Okra.
Squash and some okra.
Cucumber.
He didn't bring me any tomatoes, though.
No, they're not ripe yet. I got a bunch of green ones. You know what makes this really good, though? It's the way, it's kind of like Juan Valdez picks them coffee beans. It's the way that I pick the green beans.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah.
So the next thing that I do is I add salt. Now you can add whatever seasonings that you want that your family likes. I just add salt and I add bacon grease. And some people cook bacon in with theirs, and you could do that. And I've cooked a little pieces of ham or even a little piece of a pork chop, depending on what your family likes. But tonight we're just going to have salt and the bacon grease. And so I'm just going to sprinkle my salt in there. Now a pot of beans like this, I probably put close to 2 tablespoons. And it sounds like a lot, but for these fresh green beans, they're going to need it.
Yep.
And
I'll salt mine again.
And he will. He's terrible with his salt. And
salt
then
makes them taste better.
let me show you. This is bacon grease. Now these are still cold, and I'll just put some in there to show you. but it's not going to melt right away. So I'll put these in here and let them cook in with the green beans, and then I'll probably come back and add some more. Now it's going to depend on, when you taste them, if you like them or you think you need more seasoning.
But you can't hardly do too much bacon grease.
Well, you probably could do too much, and some people probably won't like this, but I promise you, if you want your green beans to taste good and you want them seasoned well, you'll want to put bacon grease in them. And I'll set that there because we'll come back to that.
How long does it take for these to cook?
These beans are going to take, these are fresh green beans, so they're going to take quite a little while to cook down. They need to boil really good, and so that they can get soft. And the potatoes, I probably could have waited on the potatoes, but and put them in halfway through, but I went ahead and put them in. And I would say it's going to take at least probably an hour and a half to 2 hours for these to get good and done the way we like them. We like them tender, super tender, and about in a couple of hours these are going to be done and they'll be delicious. I'll come back and stir them every once in a while. It's not necessary to have to stir them, but I do because I like to make sure my seasoning is good and that they're like what we want, what we like them to be. But anyway, we'll let this cook for a couple hours, and I'll bring you back when it's time to taste them the last time and see if there needs to be any adjustments. The only other thing that I'll do to this is add more of this bacon grease if they need them. I'm sure they will. That'll be the only other thing that I do before we test them the last time, before we're ready to serve them for supper tonight. So anyway, I'll bring you back when they're ready, and we'll see if you guys like this. It's a really simple recipe, and it's a really good way to make green beans.
Howie sure likes them.
He does like them. Okay, everybody, as you can see, the beans are still cooking. They've been going for about an hour, and the color has changed on them, but they're softer than they were, but they're not done yet. I did go ahead and add some more of the bacon grease, and when it comes closer to them being done and ready to serve them up for supper, I'll test them again, check the salt, and check the flavoring on the bacon grease, and see if I need to adjust anything, and we'll go from there. Okay, guys, Howie had to go back out to work, so I've got time to go ahead and get my beans. He was going to help me film it, but he had to go back out to work. It's really hot today, and he has to get some equipment installed, air conditioning equipment for some people. So he's had to go back out. So I'm going to do this by myself. Please forgive the camera mess ups because I'm pretty new to all this, but I'm going to kind of show you. Some different ones have been asking about this. So I'm going to can green beans, and I'm going to do the hot pack method. I've got my jars. As you can see, I've got my jars in this pressure canner. It'll hold 7 quarts, and I've got the flame on just to warm these jars up, because you want everything to be the same temperature. If you're going to raw pack, you don't want to put cold product into hot jars or hot water. You want everything to be the same. This is hot pack. Green beans have to be pressure canned. You cannot raw pack. Excuse me. You cannot water bath them. They have to be pressure canned. So right now I've got my jars getting warm. I've got this water going in this pot. It's just water. And when it comes up to a boil, we'll be putting our green beans in it and letting them boil for 5 minutes, and then we'll pack them into the jars and we'll get the canning process started. So I'll be back when that's ready. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do here, the water is boiling, and it is time for me to put the green beans in here. Get my other one. Now, of course, it's going to have to come back up to a boil once I add these green beans in here. We had to let them boil for 5 minutes to let them prepare to be raw packed. That's what the Blue Book says. 5 minutes to boil. So we're going to let those boil for 5 minutes. The jars are getting hot. This is going to be hot. The water is hot. The rings, the lids are in hot water. And then we'll be able to put all of this together and can. When we get all these jars filled, we'll put them in the canner and we'll process them for 25 minutes where my elevation is 10 pounds of pressure. And you'll have to adjust to whatever elevation you are. Blue Book has a good explanation on all of this. You can find your elevation by typing in your zip code on the computer and asking for your oh goodness, how much you are above sea level, and that's will let you know how many pounds of pressure you have. And where I am in Oklahoma is 10 pounds of pressure. So what we're going to do is let these beans come back to a boil. They'll boil for 5 minutes. That lets all of the air get cooked out of the beans. If you notice, a lot of times when you can, especially if you raw pack, and things get done that way, your vegetables and your fruit will float because there's still air inside the vegetables and inside the cells of the fruit. But this way, you're supposed to be able to get the air out so that your vegetables aren't going to float as bad, and you'll be able to get a little bit more product in your jar. So 5 minutes, and then we'll be able to put hot green beans into hot jars and put hot water in with them, clean the rims, and put them in. We'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, the beans, have done their thing and they're ready to put in the jars. I've already got 4 jars in the canner, staying warm, and I'll finish these last 3 jars and then we'll be ready to can. Okay, I'm turning the fire off of that. We're going to fill this jar up right to right there. We're going to put our beans in, and then we're going to put our hot water in. And then we'll debubble. Uh-oh, guys, I see a bean. Look there. I missed a bean that has a bad spot on it. So I want to make sure that that doesn't get in my jar. Okay. Stove's kind of crowded tonight, trying to cook supper and can these beans, but we'll get it done. Okay, so we have to make sure that we debubble, and what I'm using, I cannot find, I ordered a new magnetized one, this, but while I was waiting on that to come, I got used to using this bamboo chopstick I can't use a chopstick to eat Chinese food, but I like to use it to debubble. And you want to make sure that you go all around in your jar and get all of the bubbles out. When you do that, you need to take a damp paper towel and wipe the top of your jar. Make sure that it's clean. Make sure there's no nicks on it. You don't want anything causing this jar not to seal because you've worked hard growing the produce and doing all the things to it. And then we can put our lid on. And into the canner it goes. Now I think I told you this a while ago, but oh, of course, get this one out. I think I told you a while ago that I'm going to pressure can mine at 10 pounds pressure for my altitude. And you will have to make sure that you look at what altitude you're at so that you get the right. Now I don't have a fancy canner. I have a Presto canner. The fancy ones are nice. And kudos to those that have them. Mine's a Presto. I've had it for a long time. And I've debated getting a second canner so I could run two canners at one time instead of having to let this one do its thing and then run it, you know, several different times. But I just haven't done it yet. But I don't know. The All-American canner is really nice, but it is super expensive. So this works for me, and I'm thankful that I got this one. I may have to put a little bit more water in the jar when I debubble. The water level will probably go down just a little bit, and I'll need to add a little bit more. But I hope you can see what I'm talking about when I say debubble. You're going to go around the jar, and you'll see little bubbles coming up to the top. And you want to do your best to get those out. And you can tell you won't see any more bubbles. But then I also feel like I need to add, well, maybe we're okay there. Okay, so y'all, I'm as nervous. Used to be an old saying that said, nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. That's me. I'm nervous doing this video because I know there's lots more qualified canning teachers than what I am. But I'll just show you what I do. And hopefully might help somebody put up their produce on their shelf. These green beans will taste good in the wintertime. I don't know what type of green beans these are. Howie's not here right now, or he could tell you. I just know they're green beans. And I enjoyed snapping them today. That's one of my favorite parts of the process of green beans is the snapping. Kind of collect your thoughts while you're working and, you know, pull yourself together and think about the things. We all know we have lots to think about right now. And I've kind of turned off a lot of the news about you guys. You still watching or not? I know there's all kinds of crazy things going on. Everybody has opinions about what's right and what's wrong. It all boils down to loving God, loving your neighbor as yourself. On all sides. We've got family in law enforcement. And we pray for them and their safety. We've got family that's on the other side of the coin. That kind of threw me, guys. Okay, let's get this last one on. We'll get them in the canner. Gotta get a ring. I did count it wrong. Didn't wipe my lid. Oh, you guys. I'll get better, I promise. It's hard to do a process for other people when you're used to just doing it and slowing down and taking the time. Okay, so they're all in here. Now it's time to put our lid on. This is what mine looks like. It's just an old Presto. But what I do is I check and make sure my gasket's good. I check and make sure this vent is clear. I usually look through it and make sure that it's clear. And I'm going to put it on the pot. Now, there's a certain way that you have to put it. You have to line it up with the marks on the handles. I don't know about the new ones, but this is the way this one is. And watch me have trouble. You know what? Got my jar backwards. My pot. I'm sorry. Let's see if we can get it now. Okay. You guys, I'm sorry. I promise that I know how to do this, but I fight with my pot every once in a while. There we go. I got it. Okay, so it's on there. Now what we do is we're going to adjust our time. We're going to turn it up. You probably can't see it. Let me move this jar of green beans, this pan of green beans out of the way. Okay, so I've turned it up, and on my stove I have to pull it forward just a little bit. And I'm not going to do anything else until steam starts coming out of this, and it'll have to vent out of here for 10 minutes before I put the weight on it. And mine is set this. When I put this on here, it makes it 10 minutes. I mean 10 pounds. And when this steam comes out for 10 minutes, then I'll put this on. And then when it starts to rock gently, we'll start timing for quarts, 25 minutes. And then we'll have something yummy to put on our shelf for the winter.
Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate you watching today's video. If you are not a subscriber, we'd love to have you subscribe to our channel. It would really help you out. And in case you're wondering why we ask for your subscription, is because it helps grow our channel. The more subscribers you have, the more people that give you thumbs up, the more people that comment on your video causes YouTube, they have what's called algorithms, and that's in the computer system, but it will promote your channel and promote videos that are popular. If they're not popular, nobody watches them, why promote those? YouTube's in this to make money, and I don't fault them. Some folks think you shouldn't make money on anything, but you have to make a profit in whatever you're doing, or eventually you can't afford to do it. Now, some folks might have a oil well pumping out 1,000 barrels of oil a day in their front yard, and they don't need any extra revenue. But most businesses do need some revenue, and I treat this kind of like a business. I've not made a whole bunch of money, but as I make the money, I set it aside, and we're buying better video equipment and things that we have. If I was a multi-millionaire, I would just go out and buy the latest of everything and have me a camera crew and everything, but you see it right here. I'm the cameraman, the director, the editor, the whole works. So we're trying. And you probably say, well, it shows in your videos. I understand, and I am learning, and I'm getting better. One thing I'm trying to do on the videos, if I don't forget, is I'm trying to cut out the videos, the advertisements during the middle of the video. That way, while you're watching the video, you're not, that's not happening. I don't know if we'll always do that, but that's something I've been doing, just seeing how it goes, because a lot of the videos I've been watching of other people, they have a whole bunch of advertisements during the video. Now, I didn't even know that I could cut any of the advertisements out. I thought when you hit the selection to monetize your video, which is to make money off of it, that it just does whatever it wants to do. But you can actually fix that, because some have commented about it. So I went in and done some of our videos lately that I took the middle part advertisements out. But, you know, I understand YouTube, they need to make money. They have great big computer systems. You might care less about them, but if YouTube doesn't make money, and they're under a lot of pressure right now by because of these protests and a lot of things, they're under a lot of pressure. A lot of big sponsors are taking away their advertisements and things. So you know, not that I'm losing any sleep over it, but you know, you do want these companies like YouTube that provides a platform that anybody that wants to make videos and put it on the air can start doing it. And once you hit, I think it's 1,000 subscribers, when we hit that, they started giving us a little bit of money. It's not a bunch, and but it does help, and I certainly appreciate it. And it's because of folks that have subscribed and watched the videos. And you can skip the videos if you want to. If you actually watch them, that's where I make more money, if you watch a video. But if you don't watch a video, when you watch an advertisement during the video. But listen, if you don't, you can hit skip, and they even have a program, I think it's called RedTube or something like that, through YouTube, that you can pay so much a month, and they will eliminate all the advertisements on the videos you watch. You can do that. There's all kinds of different platforms, but all of it costs money. It's costing somebody something, and you might care less about this, but I'm just explaining why we ask for your subscription, because it helps us. Don't cost you a dime. You just hit the subscribe button. Once it comes up, a little bell pops up. You can select to watch future videos, and it will alert you in your notification feed over on when you're looking on a computer. I don't know how it is on a phone, but it'll show you new videos, new things that's come up, and you can click and watch the ones you want to, and it kind of helps keep you in the loop. When new videos of your favorite channels, I don't do the bell on except for my favorite channels. I subscribed probably now to 300 or 400 channels that I'm subscribed to, because I like their content, but I don't have time to watch all those, or I'd never get anything done. But sometimes I'll have a little spare time just trying to relax a little bit, and I might get my laptop out and just start watching videos. And the ones that are, I have the bell icon, I check that first, and that way on my notification feed I can watch the ones of my most favorite ones, and then I'll watch others. But nonetheless, it helps us if you do a thumbs up, if you comment, and then as YouTube and their algorithms start detecting that, they will promote our video, and they don't charge us for it. And that helps our channel grow, helps spread the message. Other people can find our videos, because there's thousands and millions of people putting videos out. So there is a lot of competition. If you're watching our video, it's probably because somebody has recommended it, or you've seen it being promoted, because the chance of just falling across something is very slim, because there's just so much there. It's just hard. So many people creating videos, but I'm thankful that we have a way to do this. But I do appreciate you watching today. Hope you've learned something about growing green beans. And if you can green beans, or you have a comment about green beans, or maybe there's a variety that you really like to eat, why, put it down in the comments. I'd like to hear from you, and may God richly bless you. And we'll see you next time here at Cedar Creek Homestead. And we're gone.